Om yadvachanabhuditam yeno vakabhudyate tadeva brahma tadviddhi nidam jadidam upasate janmanashana manute yeno ahu manomatam tadeva brahma tadviddhi nidam jadidam upasate jan chakshusha na pashyati yena chakshungshi pashyati tadeva brahma tadviddhi nedam jadidam upasate jat pranena praniti yena prana praniyate jat sutrena srinati sutram idam sutam tadeva brahma tadviddhi nedam jadidam upasate. That which cannot be expressed by the speech, but by which the speech is expressed, that by which apprehended by the mind is apprehended by him. Know that to be the truth. That which cannot be perceived by the eyes, but the eyes which the eye is perceived, that which cannot be heard by the ear, but the hearing is perceived, that by which cannot be smelled by the breath, but the breath is recognized, is know that alone is Brahman and not that which people worship. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto us all. So today, our song actually gave us the synopsis of my talk. He actually got the point. And my topic is the way we see the world. We see the world, each one from our own mental perspective, our speculation. What we see, what it is, it cannot be definitely known. It is unknown and unknowable. In brief, the world appears to us as the way our mind explains the truth. The human attempts to understand, to see and to describe that indescribable makes it varied, contradictory philosophies. Yet it cannot change the eternal truth which all of us are viewing differently. So the question comes, the world is good or it is bad? Or it's a mixture of both. Is it full of pleasure or the world is full of pain? Is it peaceful or it is restless? Is this world is beautiful or it is ugly? It is heaven or it is hell? What is this? This is a big question. It is neither of the above, but it is that which cannot be described. Yet to describe it, the sages used so many words like God, like Satchidananda, absolute, abiding reality, supreme Brahman, and all these terminologies. So the question is that what is the universe and how we perceive it? Actually, if we look at the world, everyone perceives the world in his or her own image. The world may be the same. Today, for somebody, is a most joyful day. What a bright day, what an accomplishment, what a joyful thing. At the same time, another person, this is the worst day possible in his or her life. Some may say, oh, I am enjoying good health. This morning I have had a good exercise and have everything good. And someone say, oh my God, I woke up with this, and this pain and aches and pains, and I have to run to hospital and pain. So what is this world? It's really a big question. So long the truth is viewed through the lens of our mind, it will appear as the coloring of the mind of individuals. William Blake, in his The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, he writes, if the doors of perceptions were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite. For man has closed himself up till he sees all things through the narrow chinks of his cavern. A beautiful few lines. Beyond the narrow chickens of his cavern, which is a reference of Plato's allegory of the cave, lies the radiance of divine unity, into which Blake had stepped into it. It is where Blake goes out the confines of ego self and recognizes his own essence as the supreme self. So the doors of perception, when it is cleansed, as Blake said, then everything would appear to man as it is, infinite. That is the same statement given by the Vedantic experiences of the sages and saints. That which is, it is joy, it is bliss, it is infinite. If you describe anything, you limit it. And describing is an attempt to reduce its glory. That's why the Upanishads, even some places it said, Shanta, be calm, serene. And that is the truth. That story is there in the Yoga Vasishta he read, that there was one student, he is asking his guru, sir, please teach me about that supreme truth, that Brahman. And the guru sat silent. And then again he asked, sir, please, I'm a sincere seeker of truth. Please guide me, help me. Please tell me, what is that Brahman like? Again, he was silent. And third time when he spoke, again put this question, then the teacher said, my child, I am trying to teach you all the time, that you didn't get it. What was the message? Message was the silence. Silence is the message. It cannot be described. Beyond amang manasagocharam, beyond bak, the speech, beyond mana, the mind. These are the tools through which we describe, we measure, we fathom the universe. Amang manasagocharam. It is mana bak agocharam. It cannot be perceived through these limited tools through which we recognize the world and we try to express that experience. So it is, but still we view the world and the whole world, each individual views differently. And when that mind becomes clean, as we all know, this whole philosophy of spiritual life is nothing but purity of the mind, cleaning of the mind. And here, William Blake said, the doors of perception were cleansed, what are the doors open? This mind is clean. When the mind is pure, then everything will appear to be as it is. It is infinite. It is the reality. It is the only truth and truth alone. But when the mind, according to the density of the cloud in the mind and the conception and misconceptions, the whole universe, though it is all bliss, though it is all God, it appears so diverse. In the mystic vision, the world resonates in a different level of reality. Infinite is lurking behind every mundane things of the world. That is the thing which is blocked from our vision. But we do not see the way as the seers looked at it. Sri Ramakrishna saw, we find the Sri Ramakrishna saying, Mother everywhere. It is repeatedly discussed. Even there is no distinction whether man, woman, holy, unholy, or animal even. The cat coming to eat and feeding him, mother, mother, mother. Will you eat? Rama devotees, they find Rama everywhere. Krishna, the lovers of Krishna, they saw Krishna everywhere. You remember that story of Shankara's, which transformation for him or for the whole world when he was criticizing that mad guy sitting on a street dog and eating something, a bread, first putting in his own mouth and putting in the mouth of the dog. And the dog gave a bite and then he takes back and again he is eating himself. This type of crazy man, Shankara saw, and he is not clean, unclean, so dirty. So seeing that, Shankara says, Duram apasarare chandala. Get out of my way. I am going to Shiva temple. Make it clean, my road, my path. And then came that beautiful experience of words of wisdom. The Vishnu upari sthito Vishnu. Vishnu khadati Vishnave. Katham hasasire Vishnu. Sarvam Vishnu mayam jagat. What a grand statement. Vishnu upari. You are seeing the dog, street dog? What is street dog? It is Vishnu, the Lord, who pervades everything. Vishnu means Vyapnoti iti Vishnu. That one who pervades in the nooks and corners of the whole universe. There is nothing but that consciousness. And that is the same Vishnu. And Vishnu Upuri, that you see the dog in name and form, that is your misconception. But it is Vishnu. And Upuri Sthito, you see, who I am sitting over the dog, is a dirty man, you see, I am a mad cop, you see. But that is also Vishnu, the Lord Vishnu. And Vishnu, the Lord Vishnu in the form of this mad man, Khadati Vishnave, is feeding the Vishnu, the dog whom you see. Vishnu is feeding Vishnu, the Lord is feeding Lord. And you also, you know, you Shankara, you think you are Shankara. Katham hasasire Vishnu. Oh Vishnu. He is not saying, oh Shankara. He is saying, oh Vishnu. Oh Lord. Why are you ridiculing me? Why are you laughing at me? Sarvam Vishnu mayam jagat. Everything is permeated with that consciousness, that blessedness, that absolute reality. See, that is the experience. That is the experience, and how can that be felt by us? We are seeing, yesterday Ram Nam song was going on. Santara Rama, Bahar Rama, Naki Bahira Rama, I do not know. Jo kuch dekhata, Rama hi Rama. A Rama devotee, Antara Rama, closing the eyes, sees Rama inside. Opening the eyes, Bahari Rama, everything is Rama, Rama, Rama. Jo kuch dekhata, Rama hi Rama. Whatever he glances at, whatever he views, whatever he sees, it is only Rama and Rama and Rama, only and nothing else. That's why I quote this also many times. Yo Ram Dasrath ki beta, Ohi Ram ghat ghat mein leta, Ohi Ram sabse niyara, Ohi Ram jagat pasera. Yo Ram Dasrath ki beta, as we see, who incarnated in the form of Rama as the son of Dasharatha. Wahi Ram ghat ghat mein leta. Each ghat in the each heart. That Rama resides in every heart. And Wahi Ram sabse niyara is the closest of the close. And he is Jagat Pasera. He is permeated in the whole universe. See the experience, these are all the experience, different beautiful experiences of nameless saints and sages. Christ in the front, Christ below, Christ above, Christ on the right, Christ on the left. It's an experience. It is a tangible experience. They also are like you, human being. But their eyes, these eyes are showing something which our eyes is showing something else. Of course, I cannot say whether the eyes shows or whatever the mind shows, and the pure mind, that is a question. Yes, pure mind shows, the eyes don't see. Whatever eyes sees, even if they see after that realization, that is the state of Jivan Mukti, we understand, the realized souls leave into their body-mind identity, coming down from that level of experience, and that moment they see all these realities permeated everywhere. I was reading the book of our, what is called, book written by our Devadatta Kali. He talked about, he matched with the experience of Abhinava Gupta, the Kashmiri Swami master, great master. And then he was comparing beautifully with Blake, William Blake. It's a beautiful, I got the idea from there. Glory goes to him. So he there compared, you see the experience of the Kashmiri saint Abhinava Gupta, which is 1,000 years past, and of Blake, which is after 800 years or some gap of difference of centuries, how the experience resonate there and this. We always compare with the Vedic experiences and Ramakrishna experience. This is also another thing he has compared beautifully in that book, that the experience, how it resonates and how it appeals to the mind, and their experiences are almost the same. Here, in Abhinava Gupta, he writes in his one of the poem that at all times spread peace and check the stream of chatter with those who speak of trifling things. Fall not into the habit of asking what or why is that, and who are you? That which shines uninterruptedly with glittering splendor, making distinct the phenomenal and imagined things of the world, it is itself free from distinction. What perception of objects can there be in the void, the domain of Shiva, the abiding reality, the supreme Brahman? See, what he's saying, that who are talking of trifling things, speak of the trifling things. And he's talking of the world, talking of the world view in which we live and sleep and eat and die, that type of vision, that type of living life, he is asking us not to fall into that habit, into that living, and also not to ask why, what, this, that. But he's saying that which shines uninterruptedly. There is no interruption in that ever-shining truth behind this universe as we see. Saying that which shines uninterruptedly with glittering splendor. Beautiful translation. Making distinct the phenomenal and the imagined things of the world is itself free from distinction. You see what you are seeing? It is the same. You are viewing, as Ramakrishna said, I see you as a human being, but there is no human being as such. It is only the divine. Swami Vivekananda said that you see the table, you see God first, and then you see the table. Bringing to our awareness is bringing this understanding, because we see the consciousness first, the perception as it goes on. I see you, I see that table, I see the pews. It is just eyes are carrying that sensation, the rays, and then sensory nerves to the brain, to the perception, to the mind, and mind brings that information to the inner reality, and then it touches the ground of ever-shining consciousness behind. And when it touches, then it gets the mind gets the approval. Yes, I see it. So we see the Atman first there, the consciousness first, in the inmost reality of our being, before seeing, before recognizing. But it happens in such quick succession. It is much faster than any computer, your Google engine. A Google engine does so fast, but it does much faster. And it is, when the engine was set, only God knows. It is in God's creation. So it is perceived. Every perception, what we are seeing the outside world, it is only this external thing coming and going, and it is going to the mind sending that message to the intellect, according to Vedantic perspective, and that intellect is sending that message to the ego, and ego says, I got it, but he cannot understand unless the light of the self-luminous reality flashes on that, and then it comes back as our understanding and reaction. So we see God first is a logical way of understanding, but we don't know that. We see God first and then you see the world. But if we really see God there and can stay in that level, then when we come down, we see it is all permeated with the same reality as we just referred to Vishnu's story and the story of Rama and the Christ and Krishna. So that which shines uninterruptedly is a very important word. It is not stopped for a second. It is continuous. And that experience is there continuously. We cannot perceive because our mind is giving a wrong information. So there is no distinction. And also the phenomenal universe as we see, here is the point. It is the Vedantic concept of Jivan Mukti. In the phenomenal universe what we see, this diversity, this difference, this good and bad, this happiness and misery, this pleasure and pain, whatever we see in the phenomenal universe, is imagined things of the world. It is what we are imagining. It is itself free from all distinctions. What perception of objects can there be in the void? What perception? He is saying void. He has also a language, Shunna. That Buddha also used the word Shunna. But anyhow, here in that void means where there is no duality, where there is no multiplicity, where there is no you, me, there is no I, me, mine, ego, mind. Where in that void, he is using the word That is the domain of Shiva, that is called Shaivism or Kashmiri Shaivism. In that Shiva consciousness, where you find that a perception of this objective universe is there. There is no such objective universe possible. Into that void where everything is extinguished and only remains that Shiva, the abiding reality, the supreme Brahman. Now, we were reading the Mandukya Karika. So, we found that there is a beautiful verses are coming, we are now reading, come to that point, where it says that how we view the world. There are 35, at least he has quoted 35 opinions, to see how we see the world, how we perceive the world. And each one is correct. The truth of the matter is that everyone is correct. Here comes Sri Ramakrishna into our help. There is no contradiction, there is no fight between. That's why India survived with all these contradictions. Though sometimes they intellectually fought with each other. And actually was a bad time for those people who have less strong argument at that time. Shaivites are sometimes very poor in argument. So Vaishnavites got power there. And Vaishnavites are got oppressed when Shaivites got their argument strong. So forget those things. But the point is that there are views and opinions to see the world, how they view the world. It is very interesting. I hope to bring these views one by one. It will take maybe not in one session, it will take few sessions. But it is better to know. And you see how those views, even we carry today. Because so long humanity will remain, people will think, and think according to the capability of the mind and the level of understanding. So all these views are mentioned there, but you have to go back again to the conclusion that it is truth does not change because of our viewing, whatever way we view. So here Gaudapada mentions in his Karika that there are pranadivi anantascha bhavai etai vikalpita. In prana means what is the ground of this universe? It is energy. Modern science we are talking so highly about that, how much improvement we have done, how much we have come close to the truth of Vedanta. But what we are going to? We are thinking of the primordial energy. What is behind this? Matter. We see the matter, there is no matter. And go down and back and back. You go to the Higgs boson particle. Go back. Where do you go? But it is a tangible thing which you can see through your telescope or mechanism. It is visible to the mind, to the eyes. So he says, pranadivi anantascha bhavi. There are infinite numbers of attitudes and angles of looking at the truth. Some say prana. Prana does not mean this vital breath here, but the energy. But you can go matter, behind the matter, that energy as we talk about. Etoi vikalpito. These are all conjecture of the mind. Why conjecture of the mind? Your one state of your developed mind, you think one way, your mind improves and your mind gets clear of some doubts and confusions. You see the world in another level. As I always, Swami Vivekananda's example is very appealing to me. When we look at the same sun and we get different views of the same sun. How big is this? How much of light is that? How much energy is there? And if we move on, we'll find that infinite potentialities are there. In mathematics it is so clear. From point 1 to point 2, Even point 1 to point 2 you go, there may be infinite decimals in between. Infinite views. Everywhere infinite. It's a you can say God's magic. But it is finite, we see finite, but everywhere is infinite. 1 to 2 you go, 1 to 2. You can have infinite number of points, point 21 million zeros and 1. 1 trillion zeros and 1. How many? Can you make any distinction? Now we get the timing in the what you call the 1,000 parts of a second and 10,000 parts of a second. We can now just understand that, no? So it is infinite there. So Maya esatusya devasya jaya mohitang sayam. Jaya ayam mohitasayam. So these vikalpana, these are all different understanding, misunderstanding or imaginations of the fantasy of the mind. And Maya, the what you call undefinable entity, that is its cause. The devas, so that effulgent self is being covered by that mohitam swayam. By its own power, the same effulgent self as if appears to be finite and limited. That means here, this is due to the maya or ignorance of the luminous Atman itself, by which it is deluded. That means this self, which has created this delusion, and which has covered himself, as it were, by its own power. That's why we find, to understand this, how that self-effulgent, self-resplendent Atman can cover himself and delude himself and play, working in this world with millions of different concepts, and then moving on from one to the other, to the other, to the other, and ultimately get released from all bondage. It's a very mysterious thing. How can it be possible? So we find that in the Vedanta Sar, it has been mentioned that the sun does not change, but sun only is the creator of the cloud. Who creates the cloud? Sun creates the cloud. And the cloud covers the sun. It is the Brahman, the same. Why it happens, don't question. There comes the question of Leela in the devotional term, and the term of Vedanta is a Maya. But don't question, why, what? It is. But this is the trick, that the self-effulgent Atman, which is ever manifesting, cannot be covered by any ignorance. There comes the same sun as it creates the cloud to cover the sun itself. So similarly, the Atman appears to be covered by his magic winding stick, and he has created this universe. So meghachanna drishti, meghachanna markam, yatha baddhavad bhati. As meghachanna drishti, when our eyes get stuck by the megha, the cloud, and then we say, oh, the sun is not there today. Sun is not in the sky today. But sun is there, it is not gone anywhere. It is my vision is blocked by the megha. Who created this cloud, megh? It's created by the same sun who has created me, who has created you, who has created this earth, which has created these elements, who has created this food for our sustenance, who has created this breath. The same sun, it is coming from the same source, and it is covering the same sun in the physical level. So in spiritual level and in our mental level, we can understand how much covering is there, deeper covering. The sun creating the cloud and cloud covering the sun. No, it cannot cover the sun, it covers our eyes, because our eyes are limited. Therefore, we have to go beyond our eyes, these eyes. But we have to develop another type of eyes which can give us that experience. So the worldview is seeing the Satchidananda or Brahman through the clouded mind in its different depths. And this, in the seeing this, when this created universe we see through our mind, there comes my attachment, my aversion, my anger, and my emotions, because of the mental projections, and reality remaining unchanged, whether we see it as human being or as material objects, as atoms, molecules, particles, void, whatever we say, this universe, ultimate truth of the universe remains unchanged, and that we call simply God. Therefore, we find that it is an Gaudapada mentions about, as I said, 35 worldviews. Philosophers of different mental attainments describe the same world according to their perception. It's an interesting study indeed to note that even today we the people have distinct philosophical ideas are prevailing in this world, and we are part of one view or the other view, though we do not analyze it every day in our day-to-day living. The world, actually in Sanskrit, it means world or universe comes from the word Jagat. And Jagat, you know, Jagat comes from the word Gam Dhatu. Gam Dhatu means which moves, which goes on, which on and on in changes. Who perceives this world, whether physical or mental, gross or subtle, earth, heaven or hell, who perceives it? That is the question. First of all, our mind perceives the world. And mind alone cannot perceive, because mind falls under the category of the insentient world. So mind cannot. Swami Vivekananda says, the mountains of today were the ocean of yesterday and will be the ocean tomorrow. Everything is in a state of flux. The whole universe is a mass of change. But there is one who never changes, and that is God. So here, again the Gam Dhatu, it is all changes. What we see today as mountain, it is no more mountain, it was one time ocean. What we see as ocean is not ocean, was one time mountain. So like that it is all change. Everything is in a state of flux. The whole universe is a mass of change continuously going on. It is a reality. If we pay our attention, we can easily understand how everything, every second it is changing. But there is one who never changes, and that is called God. The whole worship is worship of God, Swamiji says. Wherever there is life, there is a search for freedom, and that freedom is the same as God. See, what a beautiful perspective of looking at our life, that His whole life is a worship of God. We do not know, but still the truth does not change because of my knowing or not knowing. We are dealing with God every moment, every breath. Whatever our actions, our thoughts, our love, our hatred, our anger, our frustration comes, all these emotions, it is all dealing with God. And there is nothing but God ultimately. So whole worship is of God. Wherever there is a life, there is this search for freedom. And everywhere we are trying to know, whom am I searching? What is the benefit of that? But we do not know, but we are searching for that freedom, to see that infinite. And that freedom is the same. as God, Swamiji's idea. So object remains the same. If we see God, now if we practice in our life to see God, if we project the concept of God, or we try to think that really there is this ultimate truth, but because of my mental condition, I cannot see that. But all the seers of truth, they are describing that yes, they have seen, they have experienced that. If then we can follow what happens. Sometimes we may argue that is there any benefit of doing like that? Suppose we do worship a stone. Hindus worship stones. One stone you call Lord Shiva. What is Shiva? You go to a bookstore, you can find a piece of stone and purchase by some dollars. Those who I am non-believer, if I am non-believer, what is the value of that stone to me? It is a stone. But someone who is purchasing, he purchases, before that he selects, this stone is better or that stone is better. It's a materialistic view. But when he captures it and brings, or he or she puts in the altar, see, the stone has not changed. If you resell it, it will be little less to sell it because you have already used it. But the stone remains the stone. Stone does not change. When you cry with your tears in your eyes, oh say, oh Lord Shiva, Aba Shiva par karo mera naiya. Oh Lord Shiva, please help me cross this ocean of life. When you cry like that, you see the peace comes here. Stone, touch the stone. For me at least, if I am a third party, for me it is the same stone. But for the person who is doing this worship, putting this concept of the divinity and trying to get out of the mental construct which has given us this view that is a matter or it is energy. There I will read that 39 views. But before that, but if we start our spiritual journey in this way, that everything is in a state of flux, but there is only one, and we are all worshipping the same reality. The whole worship is worship of God. So if we start feeling this way, then you know every day with this type of sincere conviction of believing in the words of these sages and following their path, a revelation comes. Mind becomes cleaner and cleaner and cleaner one day. As Abhinavagupta says, where will be this void? In this void, duality will remain. Where is that duality in this void? Which is Shiva and all Brahmans, Supreme Brahman. So that is the point, that this is the benefit of this spiritual practice. That it is, we have to change our view, the way we look at the world. It is actually, though I am not in a position to accept it, for those who are suffering, those who are in the troubles of life, this high philosophy of God is everywhere does not work. As Swami Vivekananda said, who said, there is a mystic, Nazrul said, Sukanto, there is a Bengali poet, he said, Khudhar Rajye Prithivi Goddamoy. When your stomach is aching with hunger, this Prithivi Goddamoy, this earth is no more poetic. Purnima Chad, your full moon night, is no more a beautiful night. It is a jhalsan ruti. It's like a burnt bread someone has given you to eat. No? You are hungry, full of hunger, but someone has given you a burnt bread which you cannot take it. So full moon night will appear like that. So for the realistic view, we may say sometimes that is the realistic view, and this philosophy is too high for us. But what is the way out? Not that we will not make our effort to handle this situation of life, but to get this view, world view, not to stick on to our old concepts in which we are born. We are just grown into a concept, and the world mind has totally been deluded by that concept, and we are holding to that. We have to get out of that grip of the ignorance, and then to accept this idea that this universe is what it is, unchanging. It is that blissful, peaceful, absolute reality, and this is what is happening. This is only in the level of ignorance. And your mind is showing. Your mind has shown something you before, something else. Today it is showing you something else. What will be the truth? That's why the analysis of Vedanta is so many ways. Or even if we go to the idea of different philosophers of the past, we'll find that how they are so meaningful to think. I'm not entering into the views of Gaudapadas today. Or shall I start one? Let me start one. So this is about the ultimate truth, as I said, that we will have to change our worldview, that it is stone remains stone, image remains image, a cross remains cross, an altar remains altar, a crucified form of Christ may be hanging in the wall. In the mystic eye, Christ appears like a lively person, but it remains the same for us, the ignorant. But still, we will have to move into that direction of conscious study of consciousness. That means the reality which is unchanging reality, we call God or whatever name. There we find that there are different ways. I will just go to one or two views, 2-3 minutes are there, and then we can continue it sometime later. He says that Gaudapada in his Karika, in his commentary, he said, Prana iti prana vido. There are different philosophers who believe that prana, or the vital energy, or that is the ultimate truth. They view the world nothing but a vibrating energy. It is called prana, the Vaisheshikas, and the worshipper of the philosophy who is the cosmic light, which is called Hiranyagarbha worshippers. They look at this whole universe is vibrant with prana. I think that it is very common for scientists today who are trying to think the world not as matter, but they go to the background and try to find the behind this what is the solid, and then go to the matter, to the molecule, to the atom, to go back and back and back. That is visible through the instrumentalities. That is the pranavit. Prana does not mean the vital air in the nostril. Prana, in its philosophical connotation, is the total energy. It's called Sanskrit Sutratma. Energy as the foundation of all creation. No matter. It is all cosmic energy behind the universe, behind the molecules, atoms, protons, electrons. Go to Higgs boson particle as the foundation of the relative existence. So this type of concept, look at the world. They view the world not as human being, not as stone, not as wood, not as sun, moon, but behind everything, go back and back and back. It is no matter. It is all energy, and tremendous energy. And we think that that is the Vedantic concept of Brahman. It is not. Far away to go, further to go. Here is the mind working, here is the sensate instrument is working, the microscopes or telescopes, they are working. Whatever the instrumentality, that is duality is working there. But it is said, in ancient times, this type of philosophers, they believing in the cosmic energy, they worshipped the cosmic energy as God and to find for their liberation. That is called the Hiranyagarbha Upasakas. It's an ancient terminology, but we can easily connect with our modern ideas. Then Bhutani iti tadvida, that means the Charvaka theory will come. Guna iti gunavida, Sankhya's philosophy will come. Tattan iti tattavida, those who are Shaivites, who are worshipping God in three different dimensions, Atman, Maya and Shiva. So I will go to those next time. Not next month, but some other time. So it's very interesting to see that how we are all living in the same world, but we are so differently observing the things. Thank you.